Come on, Hebrew.
Verse 11. And others that had run together to caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered to Philip, were all burnt together, because they had made a conscience, to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day.
Verse 12.
Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities.
Here he say, don't be discouraged if you're reading all this. It was never to discourage you or to discourage you. Simply to prepare you and you know what mindset to be in these days. Not discourage you and all that, like, oh no, let me unlist for this. Let me go on back to be a pagan eating.
What you say, unlist?
Let me go back and be a pagan eating Christmas tree duck.
Right.
No, that ain't what this is. You signed up for this, it's to the death. But the reward that we got coming far outweigh any persecution they throw at you. You hear me? Any persecution they gonna throw at you, whether it be a concentration camp or some guillotines or people mocking you or say, all that is nothing compared to the New Jerusalem that's coming. Right. You feel me? So the payout we got coming make that persecution a little more lighter. Like, oh, okay, whatever. Y'all gonna do what you gonna do. You gonna do what you gonna do anyway. You gonna do the bidding of your master. That's what they do. Right. You feel me? Make sure you stand, Israel. Stand strong. Lord ain't never forsook us. We gotta make sure that we doing what He says so He can protect us, though. If you left field, stanky legged and fence straddling, you gonna get the same judgment that these heathens gonna get.
That's right.
They the Most High already got their judgment. They got it coming. We gotta make sure we dependent wholeheartedly on the Most High and doing what He say.
That's right.
And even if it costs you your life, you get the kingdom. Anyway.
That's why James stipulated in James chapter 1 verses 2 and 3. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience.
Verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation.
For a chastening of our nation. The Lord chasten those He loves.
Right.
Right? He just want to know where your faith at, even when it's turned up.
Yeah.
What do we believe? Do we waver? Or do we say, you know what, Most High, you said that, I'm going to believe that till the casket drop. Slave for whatever they got going on. So what? Right. I'm going to believe that until the casket drop.
I'm a wallow in it.
Nah, we can't be doing that. All right, now let's take this out. Let's get to this First Maccabees chapter 2, couple verses, and then First Maccabees 3. And that's when the dedication of the altar is going to go up. And you're going to see that's what we observing coming up. A couple days. All right. First Maccabees chapter 2, brother. Got that? We like 1 through 19. Chapter 3. Got that, kids?
Yes, sir.
Again, y'all, this is the history that we're going over for the Feast of the Dedication. And also, if you read John chapter 10, the Holy Messiah observed the same feast we got coming up. John chapter 10, verse 22, He observed the Feast of the Dedication. Again, we call ourselves Christ followers. We're supposed to do what He did. Alright? We'll read that. That'll probably be the last scripture we read, John 10 and 22. It goes into Christ and how He was in the temple in Jerusalem at the winter feast. You feel me? He observed the feast. Alright? This is not a Jewish thing.
Jewish, you was
Jew. They call it Hanukkah. It's called the Feast of the Dedication. And the history that went down, it was a new world order hit put on our people. Most people sold out. A few righteous stood up, right? And the Lord delivered them and allowed us to cleanse our temple. You feel me? Amidst war and bloodshed and all, they allowed us to cleanse our temple. And to this day, for the past 2,000 some years, the Israelites have kept a feast in commemoration of that. Even Christ commemorated. In John chapter 2, right?
First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Matthias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joarib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons. Joannan, called Caddis.
You know, we always got nicknames, right? Nobody be your name may be William, but they call you Bill. James, they call you Jim. So, you know, further proof this is our people right here. He even nicknamed his sons.
Right.
Yeah, your name is this, but I call you this, right? Come on.
Verse 3, Simon, called Thasit. Judas, who was called Maccabus. Eleazar, called Avaran. And Jonathan, whose surname was Aphus.
Right, come on.
And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem,
Everything we just read, from them setting up the abomination of desolation, sacrificing swine's flesh, killing our brothers and sisters who circumcised their children. These faithful brothers right here saw all that. Come on, Hebrew.
verse 7, he said, "Woe is me,
Woe is me. Come on.
wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people,
Why was I born to see all this wickedness? Right? Come on.
and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple was become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she has become a bond slave.
What?
A bond slave.
That's another history dealing with Israel. A key identifying marker of the Israelites is slavery.
That's right.
Verse 12, and behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste. And the Gentiles have profaned it.
And it always confused me, especially when we came into the understanding of what it is. How are we calling ourselves Gentiles in the doctrine of morals? How is that? When you read anything about these Gentiles up in here, unless they was getting down with the Most High, it was a bad thing.
Right.
It wasn't never good. You was never supposed to be boasting. Oh, I'm a Gentile.
Right.
But the Gentiles are enemies of the Most High. Scripture tell you the Gentiles sacrifice to Satan
And not to God.
and not to the Most High. Why are we running around here calling ourselves Gentiles?
That's what they
You an
say.
enemy of the Most High. Come on, Hebrew.
Because they don't know that the natural vine, they keep thinking that we're going to be grafted into ourselves.
Right.
Nationality-wise, we Israel, but you can be a Gentile Israelite. You can worship all their ways. Made themselves uncircumcised.
The mindset, right?
Yes,
right.
mindset.
Come on, Hebrew.
Verse 13, to what end therefore shall we live any longer? Then Matthias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise,
This is the king trying to get him to sell out real quick. Trip off what he gonna say.
Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren.
Blowing smoke up his real. Yeah. And you a righteous brother, man. You world renowned. Everybody know you. Come on.
Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment.
Now what was the king's command? We read it earlier. To depart from your laws, later for your feast days, your Sabbaths, and start getting down with our gods and these idols right here. So he said, Mattathias, come on, man. Get down with the king.
You come first.
Huh? You come first. Why? Because he's a leader of the people. And the people see him come, everybody else gonna come. Right? So that's even a word of message for brothers that's in position of leadership.
That sound like
Be circumspect because everybody looking.
Martin Luther King syndrome. That's what that needs to be.
Right. Come on, Hebrew.
Like a continuation, like it's all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends. And thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
Try to give him a payoff, bribe this brother to sell out. You feel me? But what was his faith based on? Was it based off corruptible goods, or was it based off the law of the Most High? That's what it's about. You feel me? When they come offering their gifts and all that, they trying to get you to bow your knees to their way of life.
So that same spirit that was on him, the same spirit when Satan came to Christ, when he told him,
Exactly. Same spirit was on this messenger of the king trying to get Mattathias to sell out. Right?
Get down.
Today, everybody taking the offer though. Niggas taking the bribe today. You feel me? Majority of the people gonna take that bribe. You feel me? Not no real man or woman that'll be like, nah, partner, get behind me. Can't do that.
That bribe will be the mark of the beast.
Yep.
Get down to that 24.
Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice. Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away, every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his command.
So all y'all sell out. Though everybody in the world sell out and get down with you. Come on.
Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our Father. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances.
God forbid we should forsake the law and the ordinances of the Most High. Though all y'all sell out and get down with the king, me and my household gonna serve the Most High. Joshua said the same thing in Joshua 24.
Boom.
Choose who you gonna serve this day. All y'all can sell out or whatever. We gonna stay grounded. That's the spirit we ought to be in. Y'all read all that for time's sake. We almost done. First Maccabees 3. You gotta get to it. Judas, one of Matthias' sons, about to stand up.
What you say, Joshua what?
24.
As for me and my house, Joshua chose to obey the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Matter of fact, First Maccabees chapter 4, y'all. Chapter 4. Y'all read chapter 3 too. Excellent chapter. Alright, First Maccabees chapter 4. 4, Juju.
You got that 55 South.
Alright, First Maccabees chapter 4. Verse 37 on down. We're gonna read it out.
First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 37. Verse 36. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited.
Our enemies are discomfited. These brothers stood up. The Most High protected them. And you looked up and they started defeating the whole host of their armies. Start defeating them. Right? Come on, bro.
Okay,
36.
Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary.
That's what we got coming up, the Feast of the Dedication. Why did they have to clean it and dedicate it? Because the heathen was sacrificing swine's flesh on the altar of God. But not only that, they had put up the abomination of desolation. People was having sex within the temple. There was all type of wickedness going on. Idol altars was all throughout Jerusalem. So these brothers stood up after the Lord delivered them from their enemies and said, now we got to cleanse all this, man.
Right.
You feel me? Because all this wickedness is still around. We got to tear these altars down. We got to cleanse the temple. And we got to throw a feast to the Most High for looking after us. Right? Come on, you bro.
Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Sinai. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes, and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads.
They look like more like an abandoned house, and the grass ain't been cut no more.
Yeah. That's what
Growing up looking bad.
That's what the temple of the Most High looked like that was here on earth. You feel me? And the temple was a glorious thing. Like people can come from all over the world look at the temple. The temple was glorious, right? So it goes from that to what Daniel said, abandoned house. Ain't no grass been cut. Ain't no grass been lined up or nothing. You heard me? It's just they done forsook.
Old things living up in there.
They all the copper stole them out of that deal. You already know. Running their boys getting gunner Vaco. You already know how people eat.
Verse 40. And fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary.
Right, so they say he cried toward heaven, let you know the brothers was praying. They had to pray. That's another weapon in the spiritual warfare we got. You got to be able to holler at the Most High. That's your line of communication to Papa. You feel me? Like the Muslims, we went over last week, the Muslims pray 5 times to a rock.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
We got problems praying 3 times a day.
Right.
And we serve the true and living God. Trip off that.
That's right.
Be real with what we talking about here. So when things got desperate and sticky for these brothers, they cried out to the Most High. You feel me? Put on clothes of mourning, what they call sackcloth. They didn't have on their flash garments and like they was about to go out. They put on the rags. Right? Tore their clothes, put ashes on their head, and they was mourning to the Most High, crying out to him. All right, mindset we ought to be in. Right? Come on, Hebrew.
Verse 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down.
You hear that? Pull it on down. You know, you know, some people, you know, you got your barbecue grill, you got old grill where they used to cook swine on. Some people like, oh, just clean it, and it's all good. These brothers say get rid of the grill. Later for it. They got too much swine and madness on it and come up with a new grill, right, to sacrifice to the Most High. That's how zealous they was for the law, man. They was zealous. They like, man, these heathens came in here, introduced their way of life, and they even sacrificing meats that the Most High says is an abomination on his altar. We got to tear that down and build up a new one. All right, come on.
They thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones, according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick.
That's what that menorah is right there you see on that table. But it was much bigger in the temple. It was that sucked about 2,000 pounds made of pure gold. That's a representation of that right there. Right, so they made new vessels and everything. Come on, Hebrew.
And the altar of burnt offerings and of incense and the table. And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Now the 5th and 20th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made.
Now this was 3 years after they started sacrificing on that false altar, that abomination of desolation that they set up back in chapter 1. On the 25th day of Kislev, they did it for wickedness 3 years earlier, and on the exact same day, they used that same day for righteousness. Right? So letting you know it ain't just the power of a certain day. You feel me? It's the mindset and the action of what we're doing. All right? Come on, Hebrew.
Verse 54. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned. Even, and that was it dedicated with song, and citherns, and harps and cymbals.
Say, look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Same day, same time, 3 years later, it was used in dedication to the Most High, under the righteous order. All right? Go ahead.
All right, Kislev is the month of December, right?
It correlates between November and December.
Late November.
Late November into December.
In December,
25th day.
That ironic. I was just
Yeah, ain't that something?
We gotta imitate.
Hey, the 25th day of December is what they call Christmas.
Right. So he's a copycat.
But I tell you that in Isaiah 14, that's Satan's mission statement. He will be like the Most High. So he's an imitator. He imitates, you feel me? But it's not all the way 100% true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He got his roots of paganism and Satanism all up in there.
I just think people knew it.
Yeah.
Kislev was December,
Yeah.
November, December.
That's why what they call Hanukkah always falls in the month of December.
Always.
Always, not maybe a week before Christmas or after, or sometimes a couple weeks before, but it always falls around the same time. In that same month when they singing about the mistletoe.
And it's the ninth month. Notice it says the ninth month, not the 12th.
Yeah, yeah, but it correlates up still with day 12 month.
And they song, that's why they have their song. And if you ain't careful, you be singing along, you be switch ready to dance.
Hang low, mistletoe.
Johnny Hathaway's fine.
So y'all, we have to understand it's out there, it's everywhere we go, but you in this world, you just don't have to be up. Because it ain't going nowhere. And this was 2,000 years ago. And it's still around.
Still around.
Oh yeah.
Hang low, mistletoe. In the same place. It's gonna be with the Christmas spirit. But that Christmas spirit is the spirit of compromise. We don't want to compromise. Like these brothers didn't compromise. They stood on their faith and the Lord delivered them. Same way, that's the lesson for them. The Lord will deliver you. Even when it's looking like he ain't gonna deliver you, he got you.
Graham, he there.
Alright?
That same spiritual drink that followed them.
Which was Christ.
Which was Christ.
Come on, bro.
Verse 55. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the Most High of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
So they prayed to the Most High, thanked him, threw a beautiful feast to him, and they kept it 8 days. That's how long the Feast of the Dedication is. It's an 8-day feast. All right? And it's just basically for us to remember, never to forget, but to remember what happened to our people and how the Most High, just how he delivered us then. He delivered us in Egypt, he delivered us out of Babylon. He'll deliver you up out of here too and protect you even if you're in here. All right? He will protect you, but you won't be protected if you waver in faith. You can't be wavering. You gotta have this whole armor on. Put that armor on. All right? After the brothers finish reading that on out, we're gonna get a historical account of the Feast of Dedication. Out of the book of Josephus, an Israelite historian who saw Jerusalem fall in 70 AD. So basically, second witnessing what the Bible is saying. All right, so that's how we know the Bible. Yes, the Bible is an historical book. It's not a comic book. Steven Spielberg didn't write it, nor Leonardo da Vinci.
Nor Shakespeare.
Nor Shakespeare. All right, get that out your mind. Come on, Hebrew.
Verse 56. And so they kept the dedication of the, verse 1 to 57. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold.
There go your ornaments. You wonder where they get the ornaments and all that from? See that? Satan just copied.
Copycat everything.
Feel me? All he doing is just copy. Come on, Hebrew.
And with shields and the gates and the chambers they renewed, and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel, ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. At that time also they builded up the Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and trade it down as they had done before.
7 on down.
And
you see what mindset he was on. Even though they was feasting, even though it was dedicated, he still was fortifying the city. Making sure they was protected from outside attacks and all that. You feel me? So not a time of getting drunk off your behind and not knowing what's going on, being all full and stuff, but to remember. But to remember what it is. You feel me? And even at a time of feasting, thanking the Most High, he still was making certain preparations to make sure that his people were safe.
That's right.
Out here. Because this is a war we in.
That's right.
It's a war. Take this thing serious.
Last verse 61. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Edomia.
Against Edomia, the Edomites.
Right.
Trip off that. So now that's another witness to show you that the Greeks are Edomites.
Right.
See that? Trip off that.
Right, absolutely.
All right, come on, Hebrew. Read this verse 7. We going in the complete works The New Complete Works of Flavius Josephus. Y'all look the brother up. He was an Israelite historian. Lived around the time of Christ. He's going to give a historical account of what exactly they do during this feast right here.
Y'all, then we get into the John 10, what Christ.
Yeah, that's
yeah, this at y'all.
Okay, this is in his book, Antiquity of the Jews. Book 12, chapter 7, section 6. Or section 7, my bad, section 7.
Section 7.
I'll write it down.
Now Judas celebrated the festival of the restoration of the sacrifices of the temple for 8 days.
For 8 days. This thing is the 8-day feast we talking about here. A commemoration, right? Come on, Hebrew.
And omitted no sort of pleasures thereon.
You heard it? Why he say that? Because earlier they was getting freaky up in the temple of the Most High. You feel me? So it lets you know this ain't got nothing to do with all your spring fertility rites and all that. You feel me? Strictly a memorial. Come on, Hebrew.
But he feasted them upon very rich and splendid sacrifices, and he honored God, and delighted them by hymns and songs. Rather, they were so very glad at the revival of their customs when, after a long time of intermission, they unexpectedly had regained the freedom of their worship.
So it was 3 years to which when the heathen came in and did his thing and took away their temple and defiled it, they wasn't sacrificing, doing no temple services for a while, for a space of 3 years. Till the brother came, showed back up and dedicated the temple. Come on, Hebrew.
That they made it a law for their posterity.
For their children, for their people, their lineage. Come on.
That they should keep a festival on account of the restoration of their temple worship for 8 days.
Right.
And from that time to this, we celebrate this festival and call it Lights.
Feast of Lights, or the dedication. The world call it Hanukkah today. Right. That's what they call it, but that's not in the Bible either. Right. Just like the word rapture ain't in the Bible at all. Right. But the great gathering is Christ gonna gather his people. Right. But the pre-tribulation rapture, that ain't in the Bible nowhere. Right. Nowhere. All right, come on, Hebrew.
I suppose the reason was because this liberty beyond our hopes appeared to us, and that from there was the name given to that festival. Judas also rebuilt the walls around the city and reared towers of great height against the incursions of enemies, and set guards therein. He also fortified the city Bethshura, that it might serve as a citadel against any distresses that might come from our enemies. So on the 5 and 20th day of the month, Caslu, which the Macedonians call Apelius, they lighted the lamps that were on the candlesticks and offered incense upon the altar and laid the loaves upon the table of the showbread and offered burnt offerings upon the new altar of burnt offerings. Now it fell out. Now it so fell out that these things were done on the very same day on which their divine worship had fallen off.
That's what we read earlier. The same day that they dedicated it 3 years earlier, the heathen was using it to sacrifice to Satan. And also was talking about how they lighted the lights on the lamps. They do that every night. Right. Feel me? It's an 8-day feast. They light the candles every night. Feel me? In commemoration of how the Most High delivered his people out of this slaughter. All his feast days got to do with him rescuing his people too. You really trip off of it. Right. A lot of them do. From Passover to this feast of the dedication to Purim, we keep in a couple months. Right. Purim was another one to where they had ordered to wipe us all out. And the Most High stood up and came in for his people. Like he did in the past, we read it earlier. The Most High requires that which is past. Right. Ecclesiastes 3:15. So like he did in the past, he will.